Alright, so today we're going to be building a character in Blender that is animation ready. This can be used in games or animating. If you're making a short film or something like that. This is not a how to sculpt a specific character video. This is a pipeline or a workflow video. So we're going to teach sculpting, poly modeling. This is not a Blender for Basics video. If you need something like that first, go find. There's hundreds of those out there. But we are going to be diving pretty heavily into UCU Paint or something like that. I don't know. But it comes in Blender and you do have to turn it on, but it's in there for free. It's a lot like Substance Painter. So stick around for the end portion of that. We're going to get started on this. So we're going to go and find a reference. I like to use Pinterest. I was browsing on this and I saw this one right here, and I like that, but it's not exactly what I was going for. And then I looked over here and I saw this one. So it's not exactly what I'm going for, but we're going to take this and we're going to make some changes to it. So I'm not sure if George drew this or what, but shout out to George. So we're going to save the, yeah. All right, so I came up with this. It's pretty much the same, just a different hairstyle and a slightly different face. But so I think this will kind of pose some challenges also, because well, when you're working with a reference, you're going to need to know when to kind of negate the reference. So like, for example, we're going to kind of do the arms in more of an A pose to give more room to deform later on. And we're also going to model the hands more spread out also. So we're going to go into Blender, delete all this stuff. We don't need it right now. We're going to go to Add Image. I like to do them as a mesh plane. And it's over here, right here. All right, and we're going to hit 1 on the keyboard to go into front view. We're going to go into the shading, the viewport shading menu, and hit texture. That way we'll be able to see what what is on the mesh plane. I'm going to rotate it on the x-axis 90 degrees, like that. And then we're going to come in here, turn on X-ray mode, and move it over on the x-axis to where it's pretty much in the middle. Oh, I got that pretty close. I like to zoom in pretty far and just make sure it's as close to the middle as I can get it. Okay. And then we're going to Shift D to duplicate and zero out the locations and turn it -90 on the z-axis. Nope. I'm sorry, just 90 on the z-axis. That way we can see the face from the front view and the side profile from the back view if we move it back on the y-axis. All right, so we're not going to really know if we have it in the right spot yet until we actually add the sphere or the round cube. I do like to use a round cube, so we're going to Shift A on the keyboard. Round cube. I don't really think it matters if you use a sphere or a round cube. I just like the idea of a round cube. I don't know. So we're going to scale this down and move it up until it's just about the rough size of his head, which that's pretty close right there. We can fix it in. Now we're going to go down a little bit more. Move it to where it is pretty much where we want it to be. Yeah, it's better from the side view. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so now what we can do is move these images. The one for the front view, we're going to move it way back on the Y, and the side view way back on the X. That way it doesn't get in the way, and we can still have them visible when we are modeling in the orthographic views. See? It's going to still be here exactly where it was, and and boom, right there. And 3. I'm sorry if that made anybody sick. Alright, so yep, we're going to start off with this, and I think we're going to go into sculpt mode now. And for sculpting, I like to use a screen tablet. You don't have to. There's tons of cheap non-screen tablets that they're very good. I've used a lot of them. I have a Wacom Intuos Pro Medium that I used for years that works still. I just wanted a screen. I've used ones by XP Pen that are like $25 that work fantastic. So it really doesn't matter what you use. Just a graphics tablet over a mouse is definitely the way to go. So we are in sculpt mode. We're going to actually make sure that we have the round cube selected. Go back in sculpt mode, turn on X symmetry, and we're going to use the grab tool to kind of shape the character's face a little bit. No, we're not going for any details right now. We're just doing the block out as of right now. That looks good from the front. When we turn it to the side, we realize that it is no good. So we're going to pull his chin out and his mouth out, kind of get this in a little bit more where we need it to go. And we're not going to worry about the top of the head because the references are not going to line up perfect really ever, but we do want to get as close as possible. See, but everybody's head has a weird shape to it, so that's fine. And this is a this isn't the type of characters that I would normally do. I wouldn't say that mine are realistic by any means, but on a sliding scale, if you put this character versus what I do from cartoon to realistic, I would say that the things that I would typically do are closer to realistic than this one is. This one definitely leans more cartoon, which I wanted to find something that was relatively simple for this because I'm hoping it maybe won't take as long, to be honest, and y'all can learn the workflow and the odds and ends of things, and then take this to make your own character to use in animations or games or whatever you want to use it for. So, well, we're going to Shift D to duplicate this head, which I learned this from Yen Sculpts here on YouTube. He's a very talented sculptor. He posts relatively often. If you have not seen his stuff, I would definitely say to check him out. It's very inspirational. All right, so yeah, that neck, it looks like it's in pretty good position. We're not going to worry about this overlap right now. This is just a blockout stage. All right, so we got the head and we got the neck. We're going to duplicate the head one more time. Move this over. We're going to do the ears. And, just keep in mind, it's just a rough ear. We're not going for perfection right now. We're going for just shapes, form, or maybe not form, but shapes, definitely basic shapes. Okay, looks pretty good. We're gonna go into sculpt mode again with the grab tool with a pretty big brush and just kind of work this ear as close to the reference as we want to get it without going too dramatic with choices right now. Yeah, that was pretty good. It doesn't line up all the way, but that's like I said earlier. The original drawing for this may have been done with AI. I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. But well, we're gonna use it because it is basically what we're looking for. All right, so we're gonna Shift D and duplicate the head again, and just scale it down a little bit to where it's around the shoulders, right there. Okay, and we can move it back on the Y-axis and scale it also on the Y. Move it back up a little bit, just into place, really. Okay, nope, maybe back down, or we can just add some volume to the back of it. Okay, go back in sculpt mode with the draw brush, or the grab brush, I'm sorry. And just kind of make it work for the back as good as possible. Again, we don't have to follow the reference perfectly on this one. Sometimes 2D doesn't translate well to 3D, and that's just a fact that you have to deal with. And a lot of references, maybe they weren't made to be turned into 3D, but maybe they were. And if a good artist can definitely make that happen. And I'm not saying that I'm a good artist by any means. I'm just saying I've done this quite a few times, and I just know that there are some things that don't translate well, or that maybe they just don't translate well to me. Who knows? All right, so that looks pretty good for the body. All right, and like I said, on the arms, we're actually gonna what's happening? Oh, I did a mask, I guess. Yep. All right, so we're actually going to go into object mode and use cylinders for the arms. I'm just going to scale this down a lot and on the z-axis so we can go even further down. And we're going to do this more in an A pose. Then this is an A pose, but it's not the A pose that you would really want for like rigging, because the arms are a little close together. I like to have the arms a little more spread out, because if you don't do that, then this part of the mesh, when you raise the arms up, will come out, and you don't want that. So we're gonna try to avoid that as much as we can. Go to edit mode in vertex selection or edge selection. It doesn't really matter. I like vertex selection. Double tap the G to kind of slide it up to where the elbow is. Okay. Extrude, hit E on the keyboard, and just come down. It's on the Z, and that's fine. But we can move this in and rotate it to get into the position that we want it to be in. Boom, just like that. Okay. That looks good. And then when we get to the body, we can take some of this extra fluff out. It'll eventually be covered up by the shirt anyway. But yeah, that looks pretty good. So we got the elbow in there. But yeah, I think we are going to want to kind of rotate it up a little bit, so it maybe even out some to where the, yeah, honestly, that's probably going to be a lot better. Like that. And that come out just a tiny bit. Okay, yeah, and then we'll pull the shoulders out a little bit, take the chest in some, so that issue I was talking about doesn't really bite us too hard later on. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing for the legs. What you can do, I guess, is just duplicate this, bring it down, clear out the locations and the rotations. Keep the scale, and I'm going to go into edit mode and delete this. That face also. Go to edge mode and select that and fill it. Anytime I am using these primitives, also I like to merge by distance just to make sure the default is usually fine. Okay, so we're going to take this down and over a little bit. Scale it on the Z, just like that. A little bit more. Move it down to, yeah, about right there. That looks good. Okay, and actually I'm going to scale it down a little bit, and then down on the Z a little bit, and then just up in all directions, so it kind of makes it a little thicker. And I'm going to move it back on the Z to where I'm kind of imagining this shoe, if it goes up like this, and then boom, like right here, or where the crease is. That's kind of what I'm envisioning that shoe being like. Alright, but now we're going to go back into edit mode, Control R to make a loop cut, and there's really not a good place for the knee, so I'm just going to kind of pull it in a little bit and then move it down on the Z a tiny bit, because maybe this slight hump is the knee, who knows. Alright, so boom, that looks, yeah, that looks pretty good right there. Alright, so yeah. And now I'm gonna bevel these joints. Just Control B, and then you can use your mouse to control how many cuts and the size of it. You want to scroll it or move your mouse down to make the amount larger, and then use your scroll wheel to control how many cuts it has. Okay, that was pretty good. Okay, cool. All right. So now we're going to mirror all of this stuff over. We're going to go to the modifier tab and generate mirror. If it does like this, just grab your eyedropper and hit whatever it is mirroring with it. So for the body, or for the arms and legs, we're going to mirror the body. And then for the ear, we're going to mirror the head. Oh, not mask. Yeah. Mirror. Boom. Just like that. And I like to go ahead and apply the mirror modifiers, just so I don't forget to later. All right, and we're going to start kind of refining this guy a little bit. I'm going to add the shoes first, just to get that out of the way. I'm going to use the UV sphere, and I think, yeah, I'm going to use it like this. I'm going to do that. Go into edit mode, select all the faces, the X-ray is on, and take about half of them off. Delete those. Okay. We can grid fill this if we want to, or we can, yeah, control level. Let's do a fill. Yeah, not fill. Definitely grid fill. Yeah, that looks better. Yeah. Whoa, what we're gonna do, we'll read topology on this later anyway. It's fine. All right, so we're gonna hit 3 on the keyboard. Nope. Back in object mode. Scale it down. Bring it down on the z-axis, and we're just gonna kind of make this do what we want it to do. Okay, so we're gonna get it about in the middle, scale it on the y-axis, move it over, and just scale it down. Generally, I mean that's pretty close right there. Okay, scale it on the y. Yeah, just like that. Okay, that looks pretty close, huh? Go to edit mode, select this face, come bring it up by double tapping G, and scale it out just a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bevel to it. I'm gonna keep it around 2 segments. Yeah. All right, and then do the other edge also about the same. That way it can stay like that. Well, when you shade it smooth, it can stay kind of relatively nice looking. And actually, we're not going to do the grid fill just yet. So I messed up. That's fine. This is a process. There'll be lots of messes up or mess ups here and there. So I'm just going to select all of these, make sure that's all I have selected, and delete those. We're going to actually select the edge and extrude and scale immediately. So hit E on your keyboard and then S right after that, and move your mouse to, it can go out, but just bring it in. And click. Okay, and then we're going to grid fill. There we go. And add a bevel to this outside edge, and that'll make it shade smooth a lot nicer. Boom, look there. Okay. So I'm going to undo the shade smooth because we don't need that just yet. I mean, it really doesn't matter, I guess. If you want to keep it shaded smooth, that's fine. We're going to add, well, we're going to go to this, or these legs again. Turn symmetry on. I'm not sure. It doesn't always work like this, but I'm going to try to see. Yeah, it's not going to work how I want it to. All right, but that's no big deal. We can fix it just easy. We're going to add a little loop cut here. Grab what's going to be the ankle and move it. No. Let's see what's going on. Okay, turn off symmetry. Move it over a little bit on the X and down on the Z, just like that. Okay, and we're gonna select this edge loop that we just made and kind of move it back over on the Z. Maybe scale it in a little bit. And just kind of get away from that. There we go. Okay, and bevel it even. Why not? Then what we can do is, alright, so what we can do is select all, go into mesh, symmetrize, okay, maybe not. Oh, it's yeah, so always apply your transforms. Then you can symmetrize. Okay, so edit mode, all mesh, symmetrize, go back to the it's positive X, negative X. There we go. All right, and we're also going to go back into edit mode, duplicate, and click so you don't move it. Make sure that no transforms were added. What we're going to do is select this right here and hit Control I to and then X to delete. Okay, and did we not duplicate? Okay, Shift D. Boom. Okay, cylinder 1. Is this not? What is happening? Oh, I'm sorry. Object mode. I apologize. Okay, so we're gonna get back to where we did that. See, a lot of mess ups. That's fine. But yes, well, when you duplicate, always do it in object mode. Then go into edit mode. Select these. Control I, X to delete the faces. Okay. And we're just gonna add a solidify modifier to this. because that's quick and easy. Or actually, no, we're not going to add that just yet. We're going to set origin to geometry, and we're just going to scale it up a little bit, just like that. Okay. All right, but yeah, so we're going to go into edit mode, edge, and we're going to do the same thing that we did with the bottom of the shoe. We're going to extrude and scale, and then hit grid fill. Okay. We can Shift H to hide everything except for that. And do the same thing for the bottom. ESN, or yeah, Control F, grid fill, and then go back into object mode and Alt H to bring everything back. Boom. Look there. And I like to just go ahead and select both of those, Control J to join them, and when we get into sculpt mode, we can just remesh them, and then it'll become one. Mirror that over the body to make sure that there is nothing going to be intersecting. And yeah, that's fine. There's no space for now. Alright. And we're going to do the hands. So the hands and the reference, the fingers are really tight and close together. So we're going to actually spread them out to where they, also will be a lot easier to model once we get, rig, I'm sorry. Alright, so what we can do from there is go in here and just look up some cartoon hands. That's why we'll go with this right here. So yeah, if you know who this is, give them a shout out. So we can model that from top down, basically, I guess, and then just attach it. So yeah, image, mesh plane, bring in those hands, and maybe just hide everything except for this for now. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to use this as the main reference. So I'm just going to get that as close to the middle where everything's going to kind of pop in anyway. Okay. And Control A, I'm going to I'll add a cube. That's fine. Scale it down. Shift A, add a cube. Scale it down. Real small. A little more small. Okay. That's probably about good. And then we're going to scale it on the Z axis to roughly how thick it's going to be, and just move it up a little bit off of the reference. Okay, so I'm going to add some loop cuts to it to kind of be able to shape it a little easier, and maybe about 3 for now. Go into vertex mode, and make sure that the X-ray is on so you can select through the mesh. Just bring it down a little bit, just so you can kind of just have it like these aren't necessarily going to be markers for the fingers. Just kind of get them out of the way, really, and just shape it, more like a hand would be. So keep in mind that the fingers come from your palm. But your thumb really comes from around where your wrist is. Your thumb is kind of separate from your palm. Okay, so we're going to bring this in and also bring this in, just like that, and maybe add a loop cut around there. Bring that out. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so then what we can do from there is we can add a loop cut there, grab these edges, make sure you got all of them. Extrude on the X axis, and bring it down on the Y. Okay, and no, I'm sorry. I apologize. I meant to grab the face, not the edges. Okay, extrude on the X, and bring it down on the Y. Okay, and I'm gonna grab these two faces, delete them, and grab the edges, all 3 of these, extrude them on the Y, just like that. I'm gonna select the vertices in order and go merge at last. That way you can merge to the last vertex that you selected. Go back into Edge, select this and shift select another one, hit F, and that'll fill it. Okay, and we'll deal with this also just by beveling a little bit. That's fine. Okay, so then we're gonna add another cube. Okay, so scale it down. No, not in edit mode though. Definitely not in edit mode. We're gonna go to object mode, add a cube. We're gonna have to adjust the size of this character a little bit later. Okay, because it looks like it's gonna be relatively small. So, all right, so we're gonna go up on the X, or Y, over on the X, back down on the Y, and if you can intersect, that's fine. We just want to move it up because again, when we go into sculpt mode, we're gonna just remesh it anyway, and we're gonna make adjustments. Okay, let's select this face. Well, we can just grab it and move it up just like that. Looks pretty good. Maybe grab it and scale it down a tad, then back up a little bit. Definitely move it over and up on the Y. We can go inside of here, grab that face, move it over on the X. Okay, that looks pretty good. So go back into object mode, Shift D to duplicate, move it over, X, maybe rotate it a little bit, center it back up, Shift D again, move it over on the X, rotate a little bit, move it back over, maybe a little less rotation, back over, Shift D, X, rotate it, move it on the Y, back down, back up a little bit on Y, rotate it a little bit less, over on the X. Okay, and then we're going to go into this middle finger, select this front face, move it up so it is the longer finger, as most middle fingers are. Okay, and we can also Shift D and duplicate this for the thumb. And we're going to rotate it and bring it down on the Y also, and over, back up. That's a balancing act for this. Go to edit mode for that, add a loop cut, drag it down, and then move it over a good bit, and then back down, back over. There we go. Then we can select this loop, just kind of move that guy down a little bit. And I want to kind of go ahead and kind of make the bend of the thumb known. Well, let's see what is happening here. Let's see if we can make the we can make this a little bit better looking by bringing this face down on the Y a good bit. Maybe selecting this edge here and moving that over. There we go. Cool. All right, turn off X-ray mode to see what we're looking like. That's a okay looking hand, I suppose. Now let's see what it looks like when we merge it and remesh it. We might have to do some more adjusting, but we're gonna go in here. We're gonna subdivide these. Okay, we don't need much more on the thumb, but we're gonna turn on X-ray and just Control+ on your keyboard to get them all, and then maybe subdivide that one more time. Okay, then go into the palm, hit all, subdivide, maybe twice. That's fine. Okay, and we're gonna see what this looks like when we Control join. Okay, we might have to do a boolean on it, but I'm gonna try to just do a remesh. So we're gonna go into a modifier, remesh. Oh yeah, that works. That worked fine. Okay, so apply that, and we have a basic hand. All right, so Alt-H to unhide. I'm gonna hide the hands for now. We're gonna need them a little bit later for refining what they look like. We're gonna see about -90, 0, 0. Okay, then we're gonna do 90 here. Okay, G on the X, G on the Z. Scale it down because that looks like one of those football foam hand looking things. and maybe even scale. Here, we're going to rotate it to where it is pretty, pretty much straight, and do a little adjusting. So apply the transforms on it. I'm going to scale it on the Z a little bit so it's less square and more rectangular. Yeah, that's fine. Then get it up to where it needs to go, and over just a little bit, back and down. Okay. Yeah, and we remeshed it already. That's fine. Well, when we go to sculpt on it, or we can just add some volume. Nah, we're not gonna add volume. Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna select a couple of these faces. Control plus, turn proportional editing, G, scroll it down. As if you hit proportional editing and you hit G and you start to move it around and everything moves, the size of it is way too big. See? So just scroll it down to where it's not as big and hit it on the X, just like that. No, not just like that. Here, maybe a little bit smaller. G, X, boom. That's not anywhere what I wanted it to do. Okay, so we're just going to undo the remesh for now. Okay. Yeah. Go back. That's where it's joined. Yeah, it's joined. Okay. All right. So Alt H, hide the hands. Take the hand down. X, rotate it. I guess about 80. Like that. Over. Yeah, 90. Okay. Scale it down. Sometimes scale doesn't want to work for me. But yeah, hit the. I'm not sure what is happening. Oh, X. Y. Rotate a little bit better. Okay. Alright, so then we're gonna try to select it needs to be just like that. Maybe scale it a little bit. That's where it's longer. Do we want a real fat hand? That's fine. Well, we can have it be a thick hand. Ain't no big deal. Alright. Okay. So, we're going to mirror that also. The body. Okay. What happened? Okay, there we go. Mirror the body. There we go. And apply that. So we're pretty blocked out. I want to, let's do top down. Alright, so we're going to take the head, ears, and neck. I'm going to Shift H to hide, and I guess the references. Shift H to hide everything else. And we're going to start sculpting this head. Okay, so boom. And you can sculpt in X-ray mode, and we will for some of this, just not all of it, obviously. But well, what we are going to do is we're going to take our brush. We're going to grab the I like to grab the draw sharp and kind of get an idea for where the eyes are and see if that worked. No, it didn't. Do you know what? Because we are not dense enough. So we're going to go maybe about 0.6 and see what that does for us. Okay, does it? Okay, that's much better. All right, X-ray mode. Now we're going to do what I was saying we were going to do. We're going to come in on this eye just a little bit. Okay, then. Okay. We're gonna grab the grab brush, make it a little bit bigger, not that big, about like that. Bring the bridge of the nose in, pretty much. Bring the nose out, and also for more detailed characters, this sculpting workflow that I'm doing right now is definitely not optimal, right? But like you'd be lucky to get a character to be as I don't want to say simple, but as simplified, I guess you would say, as this one appears like it's going to be. So, boom, we got that. We're going to bring out a little bit for the lips. Okay, just like that. Maybe move it over so we can actually get it to be more rounded. Cool. X-ray. Draw sharp. Boom. Let's see what that did. Alright, so make that smaller. Boom. That. Okay. I guess that is too small. Alright. Okay, so we're just gonna wait on the mouth, but we have the bulge, so that's good. Alright, so we can now just go to edit mode. Nope, not edit mode, object mode. Shift A on the keyboard, UV sphere for the eyes. Rotate X90. Rotate X90. Scale it down. And try to work this eyeball into place where we need it to be. It's going to be around there, but we're going to scale it down pretty close to the size right there. Move it up on the X. Boom, right there. So that way we know how much material to take out of the head when we get there. So, and we're about to get there too. So we're just gonna take the clay strips. I really like the clay strips brush. You might have another brush that you like to use for things like that, and that's fine. Honestly, a lot of them do the same thing. They just have a different looking result, I guess you would say. Smooth that a little bit. Keep going. And smooth is shift on, I think, any brush. And to dig in, it's control or command if you're on a Mac. Alright, and now we're going to grab the grab brush, hit G, just pull this back to where it kind of seems like it makes sense. Just like that. Hit 1 on the keyboard, pull down, pull this side over, maybe shrink your brush a little bit. And there are ways to make an eyelid that are that would honestly probably work for this character, so we're probably gonna do that. Okay, so we have no, yeah. No, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, that's fine. All right, so yeah, well, we're gonna stay as low as we can possibly stay for as long as we can stay. So we're gonna just kind of keep pushing this. The nose looks almost where we want it to, but we're gonna just bring it in how we know noses are, and you know that this is not a anatomy tutorial. This is just a you know, we're just doing a lot of simplified motions here. You know, this character is not going to win any awards unless it does. You know, who knows? Unless it does. Okay, so we're going to bring this nose in just a little bit. Also, maybe out. Draw sharp. I used to know all of the shortcuts. I don't know those anymore. I don't think. Okay, so this looks pretty solid for what we can do with this topology. Now we're going to give it a little bit more, maybe 0.3, Control R. Now we might can start working on that mouth. Yes, we can. So we're going to hit Control 1 on the keyboard, shrink our brush a little bit, just dig this mouth in. Okay, let's see what that gave us. Yeah. Okay, keep going. Go for the bottom lip a little bit, and for this, and this guy doesn't seem to have much of a chin. It's very rounded chin, but I'm gonna give him a little bit of a chin, I guess. Clay strips brush and a slightly larger draw sharp. Boom. Okay, and just kind of move some of this right there. It's gonna leave the muscles on the bottom lip. we're just alluding to that anyway. And that's a little too far from the reference. Let me see if that's a little bit better. No, we might just smooth that out altogether. Well, no, I kind of like that though. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, so we're gonna grab this grab brush and bring this jaw down a little bit, back towards the ear. Keep with his round face, and then tuck it in a little bit, like that. Okay, let's see what that gave us. Oh, good. Smooth it out. Oh, that looks pretty good. That was fun. Okay, I'm gonna take the clay strips brush again, add a little bit of chunk to his cheeks, smooth it out. Okay, all right, and that looks pretty good for what we can do there. We're gonna give a little bit more topology, remesh. Okay, kind of keep going with his mouth a little bit. Boom. Smooth these out because he's not an old guy. He doesn't look old, but we're just gonna try to keep him looking pretty young. So we're gonna smooth those lips out and just redo his mouth. You know, and we're not trying to stay completely to the reference. It's just there for us in this particular situation as a guide. Yeah, but we're gonna bring this top lip down and out a little bit. Okay, remesh, smooth. Okay. Maybe just go back to where it was before I smoothed it out. Yeah, so that looked a little bit better. Okay, so we're gonna look at this nose and see what we can do with the nose, because it is a cartoonish stylized nose. So I think it's gonna be the best option. We're gonna grab our draw sharp. I use the draw sharp for a lot of things, but we're gonna okay. So we're gonna dig under the nose and just try to give him the illusion of nostrils here. When we get a little more dense, we can kind of rework his nose a little bit so it stands out off of his face a little bit more. But we're not quite there yet. We're still working on getting the basic shapes down. But I'm going to mask off the nose right here with the M button on the keyboard. If you grow it out a little bit too much, you can always do Control-I to invert it. Shrink your brush and draw in where you don't want the mask, and then Control-I again. Okay, and that's going to let us kind of dig in onto the side. Not right there though. Dig in right here, and just remove some of the bulk off of his lip with the dig in version of the clay strips brush. Trying to keep it as uniform as you can, but the smooth will help with that also. That's pretty good. Okay, now the regular clay strips, just gonna add a little bit for that muscle that is right on your cheeks. Just give it a little smooth. Definitely smooth out that down there, because again, he's not old. We're just really kind of trying to give him the illusion of a face right here. All right, smooth that a little bit. We can clear the mask, Alt-M, remesh, just like that. We're looking pretty good so far for, I don't even know how long it's been, but this looking pretty good, I think. Yep, make sure that looks good too. Okay, yeah, and it does. All right, so we can at any time go in and choose a matte cap if we want to. I've been playing with them every now and then, or playing with it every now and then. You don't have to. Yeah, you can just keep it on studio. I do like to add a cavity every now and then, but honestly, this guy's looking a little funky with the cavity, so I'm going to remove that until later. Alright, so it's time that we're going to go up a little bit more, remesh, and just keep working at the face, getting it looking nice. We can maybe add that eyelid I was talking about. So I like to take the eyeball and duplicate it and just scale it up a little bit, just a little, not a whole lot. And I will actually rotate it to where it is 90 degrees that way, not facing forward, because what we're going to do is go to edit mode, X-ray, and remove about half of it. Faces, okay, and look, an eyelid. Okay, we're gonna take it, rotate it a little, move it up and back. Alright, and for I'm wondering if I should add the bottom one even though it's not there. I'm gonna add the bottom eyelid too, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna add the bottom eyelid. Get it back. Okay, get it back to not a 0. Shit. Alright, so I'm gonna go in here and duplicate it, rotate, and what we can do is just get it to be get it to kind of just be like barely anything there, like that. Okay, but so the trick to having this look right is we're gonna make sure that it's connecting where it should, or maybe not even where it should, where we need it to for this particular application. So, and I mean that looks relatively fine. Well, we can take away some no. Alright, so we're gonna edit mode, just close this off. So extrude scale, grid fill on both of these. Extrude scale, grid fill. Then we're gonna join them. Control J. I'm just going to sculpt mode and remesh. Yeah, about right there. That's beautiful. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna take this grab brush, maybe bring the top down just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of a rounded look. Bottom also up just a little bit, and you can also use the pinch brush on here at a relatively large size, about like that. Just kind of pinch it together if it'll let you. Again, we're not going for realism on this. We're just going for really for functionality. But you do really want to make sure that your eyelids are at a relatively even thickness around your eyeball, and that's just how it is. If you don't, it doesn't really matter how stylized you go, it's going to kind of look a little weird. Okay, so now we can actually switch back to the head and just start kind of removing some stuff around this eyelid. Not a lot, we're just going to try to make it look like it is touching and it's not touching there. So we are going to have to figure out how to make it touch. So what we're going to do from there is we're going to join we're going to mirror the eyelid first. Mirror the eyelid, the head. Okay, and then we're gonna apply it. Select the head and the eyelid. Control J. Sculpt mode. Remesh. There we go. Okay. So now what we can do is add some clay strips. And clay strips. Smooth. There we go. Perfect. Looky there. Remesh again. But you would have never even known. Right. Mirror that eyelid or the eyeball. Transforms. Okay, so yeah, mirror the eyeballs also, and we're pretty much there. I'm going to go back into sculpt mode and smooth out the top of this head so it doesn't look all wobbly and warped. But that's the basic idea for this type of character's face. Now, well, we can refine it even more, and we're going to. But for the most part, we're looking pretty solid on the face. And oh, I should have. Okay, I'm gonna undo that because I didn't have symmetry on. See, a lot of mistakes. You know, make sure that your version of Blender, you have the undos set as high as your system can allow it to go and still function, because the higher it is, the more RAM that it uses, and RAM is like gold these days. So you got to make sure that you can still function. Okay, and also we're going to want to mask off these eyelids before we start smoothing, because I don't want to lose the edge on these eyelids. I really don't. In fact, probably just gonna just do that. Okay, and I have noticed that there's a bug in Blender. So even though we have symmetry on, it's still not. So we're gonna go into object mode. They moved it. It may. Oh, yeah. Apply all transforms, but still, we're gonna go into edit mode, select all, and just symmetrize that mesh, just like that. And now when we go back into object mode or into sculpt mode, I'm sorry, with symmetry on, it should be symmetrical now. So yes. Keep that edge on your eyelids. It's going to look a little bit better, so just mask those off. And also going to, for now, mask off the nose, because I like how that's going, but I am going to go in and refine it. Just kind of mask off the lips also, just barely though. And we can bring our brush up, or just start smoothing to kind of chip away all these remeshed lines that we haven't smoothed out yet. Let's see what we're looking like. Okay, Control or Alt M, clear that mask. Okay, look pretty good. Just shrink your brush down a little bit. Maybe even turn the strength down on your smooth brush. Just start smoothing the lips out a little bit more. Not a whole lot, just enough to get some of those artifacts off. Then maybe go into your eyelid without hitting the edge too much. There we go. Alright, so draw sharp. Keep going on the mouth just a little bit. And how we did the mask, that also created kind of a lip that I like, but I'm going to kind of exaggerate a little bit more by going the reverse on the draw sharp. So Alt, and I'll kind of reverse that draw sharp and just kind of morph this mouth into something a little
more easy to look at, I guess. So maybe smooth it a little bit more. Take out this bump right there. Remesh. Man. I'm not sure why that happened, to be honest with you. Go back to 2. Nope. Go back to 1. A little higher or lower. Remesh. There we go. That's where I need it. Okay. So now we're going to go back to that draw sharp and do the reverse of it. I'm just kind of make him a top lip, but that looks a little too feminine. So we're gonna, and that's great. Oh, no, I'm not gonna. That's not what the reference is showing. So we're gonna make his top lip a little bit wider. There we go. Looks pretty good right there. All right, smooth out that bottom lip just a tiny bit, maybe in the crease. Do that. Okay. Grab your mask brush and mask out this top lip so we don't disturb it in any way, form or fashion. Control I to invert. Shrink that brush. Go up closer to that top lip. Control I again. And maybe get that. Clay strips a little bit bigger. And just kind of try to work that up a little bit. Smooth. Work up. Maybe work down also. And smooth. So we have a nice bottom lip. Clear that mask for now to see what we're working with. That's pretty good. Okay. Draw sharp. That's honestly, the draw sharp and the crease, or the clay strips, are probably my 2 most used brushes. Well, when I'm doing more realistic stuff, well, and more realistic, not realistic, but on that sliding scale, closer to that realistic mark, I will use the trim brush and the scrape brush, but I don't see us really needing that for this particular character. And he doesn't seem to have much in the way of nostril holes. So, but we are going to kind of give him a little bit in here. Just again, taking that draw sharp and just trying to make a cavity right there. And smoothing as we go. Okay. Let me smooth this transition out just a little bit. Remesh that, see what that does for us. It's not too bad. I am going to use this scrape brush to just kind of scrape some of this down to make a better transition. Okay, cool. Does he have a filter? Let's see. I don't think he has much of a filter on. Let's look. Let's see. Oh my god. Solid. No, he doesn't have a filter. He just has color. So when we go into painting, we will we'll be able to get that nice and accentuated. We're going to also do the reverse of the draw sharp on the top of the nose, because that squared off nose thing is kind of in right now, I've noticed, on a lot of stylized characters. Just kind of accentuating this square shape of a nose, like that, and even down here a little bit. Just smooth out. Okay. Alright, and I think we are to a point where we can almost say that this is a face that we can take to Topology. Yeah. I'm gonna not add clay strips. I'm gonna grab to make some slight adjustments on the cheeks. Maybe smooth. I may. Yeah. Okay. No. I just had my smooth brush too low. Okay. No, smooth. Okay, yeah. All right. So yeah, clay strips. I'm gonna lower the strength down on clay strips a lot, but I'm gonna try to add a little more volume on his cheeks to kind of try to puff them out a little bit. I don't necessarily like the inflate brush too much. It doesn't always tend to do what I want it to do, I guess. I'm not saying that it doesn't work how it's supposed to. I guess I just have an inclination of what I want it to do, and it just doesn't never seem to want to do that. Okay, so closer to the eye, nose that we get, I'm going to shrink the brush so we don't get that eyelid. Okay, let's see. Okay, bring a little bit down, a little bit of volume over here. That doesn't look it. Well, we're going for the chubby cheeked little kid like that. I think we pretty much made it there. I'm gonna grab brush, try to fill in some of this extra space that we lost, and call that pretty much good. So if you were going 100% for reference, maybe this isn't what you're looking for, but this is what this is a pretty good spot, I would say. But who am I? All right, so I'm gonna go out of object mode. I'm gonna work on these ears. We're not gonna do a in-depth ear. We're just gonna do a basic ear, a cartoony-ish ear. Honestly, probably gonna draw this, dig out, and then draw that and dig out, and that's pretty much what we're gonna do. We're gonna remesh it though, so it doesn't get too mad at us. Hit that draw sharp brush again. Boom. Dig in here. Dig in there. Let's see what that did for us. Not a whole lot. Alright, so yeah, go a little bit smaller, remesh. Let's go. Just kind of keep digging. Keep digging. Keep digging. Okay, that's better. Alright, and we do know that this is going to connect right there, so we're just going to honestly just dig this whole little part out right here. So mask it off. Doesn't really matter for this part if it goes over, because we're pretty much taking this out anyway. Control I and clay strips, dig it in, bring that strength back up from earlier, smooth it out, keep digging, smooth it out, keep digging, shrink that smooth down so it doesn't keep inflating it. And we have a relatively basic ear shape. We're going to smooth this and maybe just kind of dig around like that so it looks a little bit better. And you have ears, you can, or unless you were involved in an accident, or I guess born without ears, then you have ears. But if you don't have ears, I don't mean to offend you. I'm just saying that you probably have ears, and you can kind of feel around your ear if you have them to kind of see what you're gonna do for your ears in order to make them look relatively like an ear. I mean, the thing with stylized things is you're not gonna find something, or you're not gonna just want to model something and completely make it up. But if you can get it to where it is kind of like, I
okay, yeah, like that's an ear, or that's supposed to be an ear, or that's supposed to be a nose. I'm just talking. I just kind of talk from time to time. I'm not, honestly, I'm not saying much of anything important. I'm just talking. Okay, but I feel like this is definitely an ear. Is it thick in some spots? Of course. But are you going to look at it and say, oh, what is that? No, you're going to be like, okay, well, that's an ear. And that's what you are looking for, is the illusion of something. Okay? Kind of like how animation is the illusion of life. I view sculpting as the illusion of life also, I guess. So we're going to make these marks on his face, where his eyebrows are going to be scrunching up at, just trying to. I like to mark stuff out and then add volume to things like wrinkles and stuff like that. So it's just a little more believable that it's there, right? If you just marked it out and left it alone, it would look a little, it would kind of look like it was just painted on. But if you know about, if you know about the, when you're drawing or learning how to draw, you learn about, things like form and shape and volume and all that. And that stuff really does help you. If you don't know about that, I would definitely implore you to look that stuff up, because it'll just help you. It'll only help. There's no way that learning the fundamentals of something like that can hurt you. Now, do you have to be perfect at it? Be a master artist? Absolutely not. No. But it does help to learn things like that. And I used to draw a lot. I still draw from time to time, but I like doing 3D art. I think more. Well, when I was younger and before I got into 3D, I definitely sculpting has in a way kind of replaced how I felt as a kid and even young adult about drawing. I used to draw all the time. I used to want to do comic books, and I still wouldn't mind doing that. But my goals and aspirations have kind of shifted as I've gotten older, and I went to college for this, and with the idea that with the not really knowing what this was going to be. I honestly, I just saw computer animation, and I didn't know what I didn't really know what that meant. I thought it was just doing like digital animation. I didn't know it was going to be modeling and sculpting and animating 3D characters. I thought I was going to be doing more 2D stuff. But so when I got into it and I really learned what it was going to be, I just I didn't like it at first, and then I put my mind to it, and I was I really started liking it. So Anyway, the moral of my story is try to learn the fundamentals of art. Yeah, if you don't know them, you don't have to, just stop doing art and then learn all that and come back to it. Just every day or every week or so, just try to improve on something that you were not as good at last week. That's what I would say is a good way to do things. Just try to improve little by little. That's what I'm trying to get at. All right. So we have the head. We're going to work on the hair a little bit later because we're going to do something with curves on the hair. But the head looks pretty good. We can retopologize this and then put a normal map on it for the details, and we'll be in business with that. We're going to do the body. And we're not gonna do a lot on the body, to be honest, because it's going to be covered up by a shirt. But what we are going to do is we're going to kind of cut in where these armpits are going to be. Ooh, not that much. Well, we're going to cut in where these armpits are going to go. Kind of take off a little bit over here, right here, and pretty much just wanting the shoulders. Grab brush. Okay. So I started out doing 3D. I mentioned I went to school for this. I went to a school online, and so they taught us the industry standard programs like Maya and ZBrush, and I liked Maya. I love ZBrush. I really did. But the thing with those programs is they're not free, and unless you're working in the industry, you don't really. I couldn't justify paying a whole bunch of money per year or what have you for Maya and ZBrush. And I'm not saying that there's not reasons to have those programs. There's definitely reasons to use those programs. But Blender can do pretty much that I'm aware of that Maya can do pretty much everything Maya can do. I haven't ran into anything that Maya does that I couldn't find a suitable workaround in Blender. And so, but anyway, I was going to school for this. I was about a year in to it, and had some kind of family emergency to where I had to not give school a whole lot of my time, and so I had to kind of give it a break for a while. I think I took like 2 years off, but in that 2 years, I didn't stop because I liked it, and I downloaded Blender, and I really liked using it, and that was really what catapulted me back into wanting to go back and finish school, because I learned so much from the school, or from being in the school, and then I had learned a lot on my own also, just by doing. And I don't know, I just had the itch to kind of get back into it, and so I did. I went back, and I graduated last year, and I've just been trying to figure out what I want to do with it. The job market is is pretty limited right now. So I hear, but you know, maybe one day the bubble will kind of pop, and they'll, I don't know, maybe something will happen for those of us newer artists out there. You know, or well, whatever. I don't call myself an artist, like, you know, in the real world. I'm just saying that for the sake of saying it. But okay, so well, we're gonna leave this torso like this for now, because that's really what we need to have right there. Well, you know, and remember this, I'm not trying to go in depth to anatomy on this. He's wearing complete clothes, so there's no need to go into anatomy. But I'm gonna go to these arms and try to make them look a little bit better. Keep in mind, if you have moved anything in object mode, apply your transforms, because it's easy to forget to do that. And then when you go back into sculpt mode, definitely, if you're working with symmetry, which I don't see why you wouldn't be, unless you're not doing a game model and you're just doing a legitimate sculpture, then you're going to want to definitely just make sure that you have your symmetry on. Okay. Okay, we're going to move this kind of back into place a little bit. All right, and really that's really all that we need for this particular arm, because like I said, it's going to be covered up by the shirt, and this is not an anatomy tutorial, which I've said again, but I just have a feeling that you know, if anybody does ever watch this, that they're gonna, you know, will wonder why I'm not, you know, doing the arms a little bit better, and you know, that's fair. That's not what this is about. So I'm gonna maybe stop talking now. I might even speed this part up, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to fill the silence. Okay, but yeah, so we're gonna try to keep these fingers kind of square, because that's what. That's ugly. I didn't realize that. Okay, so we're gonna go pretty small on these hands. Okay. Okay, what's happening here? Okay. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we're gonna go relatively small on these hands. That way they can just kind of keep separate. And we're gonna, like I said, try to keep them pretty square. Not, you know, they don't have to be perfectly square, but just square enough to keep kind of that square hand, cartoon hand look. Okay, just smooth out these edges. Here. And if anybody is watching this, I haven't really given it a whole lot of thought, but I kind of wondered if you know, anybody would be interested in like in a live stream of this, I know that there are definitely people who do live stream things like this. But if anybody watches it and I keep this audio in there, well, let me know if I should do that, because I've been thinking about doing it. I just haven't really gave it too much thought, I guess. Just enough to kind of wonder, what would it be like if I did do that? I do have a full-time job also, and a whole bunch of kids, so it would have to be late if I did do it. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so the hand is looking a little bit better. I didn't use symmetry. So what I'm going to do is go to edit mode, like I said earlier, mesh symmetrize. Oh, I know what it is. No, I know what's wrong. I haven't applied transforms. Okay. Symmetrize. Positive X to negative X. Boom. Okay. Scope mode. Alright. We're going to just give these hands a little bit of definition. Not a whole lot. Just enough to where if you decide to animate the hands moving, which you totally could, you kind of know where you're going with it. So if you look at your hand, you can see where all the lines in your fingers are. Just mark those out and try to get that as close as you can get it to looking right, and that'll also probably help take some of this volume, this thickness of this hand out also. So it doesn't have to be completely perfect. Again, this is a cartoon character hand. This isn't a Da Vinci piece or anything like that. And if I can remember how to do it, which I think I do, pretty sure I do, I can show you how to like taper this. I'm pretty sure even if I don't, I can figure it out real quick. It's not a real issue or anything. But I'm trying to keep the fingertips a little more rounded off, if that makes sense. I'm gonna also I'm going to bring this thumb down a little bit if I remember to, but just giving it a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of a little wave action right there. Smooth all of this, smooth all of that. Okay. Yeah, so I still didn't. I didn't turn on symmetry again. That's okay though. We can fix it, no big deal. Don't be like me. Remember symmetry. Okay. Knock that off. Right there. Maybe round these off just a tiny bit more. Boom. Okay. Alright, yeah, so now I'm gonna want to taper the hand in. So we're gonna go into object mode, and this may not work when it's mirrored. It's probably not going to. So just be safe, I'm gonna go into edit mode, delete this one side. Make sure I got it all. I did. Delete those faces. Object mode, set origin to geometry. For the time being, I'm gonna actually zero it out. Get it to where it's pretty much straight on. Apply those transforms. Modifier, deform, simple deform. Taper. That's still. I feel like there was a way to do it with a cage. Oh, hang on. I mean, that is pretty close to what I'm going for, but not quite. Block X, maybe. Limits. Okay. There we go. Alright, yeah, so just kind of play with this a little bit, and you'll eventually get something that maybe you like, maybe you don't. I don't like how the thumb and the middle finger turned out, but that's going to be relatively easy to fix that. Go into sculpt mode, and just with the pinch brush, I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger, just pinch that thumb, pinch this finger, go to this side, pinch this, and then maybe do the reverse of pinch, which is magnify this middle finger a little bit, or just smooth that out. Take the grab brush, pull that, smooth it. Okay, so apply that, and then it will probably quit acting crazy. Okay, that's good. And just smooth a little bit more. Again, this hand is not gonna win any awards. I'm just showing you how to do certain little things here and there. Okay, and then take the draw sharp, and just kind of keep digging in a little bit. All we really want to do with this here is get it to where when you make a fist or whatever, it doesn't look crazy, or that crazy. Honestly, this hand looks a little crazy, but I'm definitely not used to doing cartoon hands. I don't want to go and switch up the thing now because we're already this far into it. Just want to. Okay, why is that not doing anything? Okay, that's fine. All right, so Alt H, and then we will get it back into place, relatively close to where we had it. Okay, that looks fine. Yeah, this hand can definitely use a lot more work. Yeah, and maybe I'll go back into it a little bit later. I just want to really get the idea down with you. Okay, so we're gonna mirror it again. The body, apply transforms for it right there. Okay. All right. So we have our basic body for what we're gonna need. Really, we're gonna join. Control J. Go into sculpt mode and remesh. But that's way too big. So we're gonna, yep. Okay, remesh, pretty small, so we don't have any weird glue marks or whatever you want to call this. That's fine. I can smooth that out, I think. Yeah. Okay. And just if you get something like that, you can always just smooth it out or add a little more geometry there, and it'll come out
pretty easy. You can also grab it, smooth it, remesh, grab, remesh, smooth, grab, smooth, remesh. You know, if you need to get it a little bit different, I guess you could say crease, smooth, crease, smooth, crease, smooth, and incrementally smaller things. You can even do the mask lasso and select that, invert it, and just take your transform key and oh, where's the gizmo? Okay, there it is. Just move it up. Okay, go back to your paint, Alt M to clear that mask, remesh, smooth. Okay, that's what it was. It didn't catch this on the back side. Remesh, no. Okay, that's fine. It's not perfect, but it'll do. Okay, so once again, I forgot to turn mirror on, so I'm just going to delete, or no, I'm just going to select all, mesh, symmetrize. Let's see which one's better. Yeah, so we're going to do that one. Okay, go back into sculpt mode and just make sure that X is on, just like that. And also that might have been part of the reason too. Yeah, that was part of the reason. Just look, but now we can smooth that out. Yeah, now we have a slightly better looking gap in the pinky. Okay. Okay. Now, if we wanted to maybe bring the pointer finger in a little bit, we can totally do that because it's a little bit spaced out, and the middle finger a little closer. We can do that, just smooth. Alright, I think that looks good for a block out of a little cartoon hand. I want to fix the joint here. You don't always have to fix these joints if you like how they look, and I can definitely, there's a lot of reason not to, because sometimes this texture from the remesh is kind of nice. Not all the time. Kind of like when you decimate something, you kind of get a little bit of extra just texture in it. I like that, but I don't think we're gonna have to decimate this. We're just gonna remesh it a little bit later, and retopologize the head and the body also. But yeah, so that's that. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, moving on. Okay, so like I said, we have the body blocked out. There's an A pose for the most part. And I do want to go back up to the body and take out some more of this that we don't need, because we don't need all of this up here. That's just gonna hurt our feelings later. And then we can also join the body with the arms if we want to. Well, we don't have to, because what we can do when we go to retopologize, we can just do them separately, and then combine or join the edges of the arm to the body, or yeah, right here. So, but I'm getting ahead of myself. What is happening? Okay. Draw sharp is supposed to be on negative by default. I must have changed it by mistake earlier. Strips. Check out some of this volume right here that this particular character doesn't need so much volume, because he's honestly, I'm probably overworking this anyway. You could probably achieve the same thing with just a cylinder for the body, but that's fine. I like doing it like this. Okay, so well, we're gonna leave this alone pretty much, and okay, so we're gonna join the legs now and to the body. Control J. That's one thing that we are gonna have to do, because but first I'm gonna remesh these legs. So when we do decide to merge them, it won't be so hard to merge or to fix after we merged. Control J, sculpt mode, and I got a face set. If this ever happens, and it does sometimes, all you have to do is face set from visible, and then that should go away. I don't know why it happens, but it does. So we're gonna do that, remesh, and yeah, that looks pretty fine. We're gonna we're gonna do the clay strips in between plus and minus, or alt and not alt, to kind of flatten this transition out a little bit. He doesn't have to have much of a butt. I'm just gonna, also just kind of add something back there to kind of smooth the transition out when we make the pants, because that's what we're making next, is the pants. Okay, yeah, and yeah, so I'm gonna just add some. I thought it would have been better to take it away right there, but sometimes you gotta just add some volume, you can always add more, but you can't always take away. Yeah, I mean, that's true for cooking. I'm not sure how true it is for 3D, but that's fine. Okay, so don't judge me on these legs. I'm not trying to make accurate legs here. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna pull this up a little bit, and that's pretty good. That's fine. Okay, I'm gonna smooth out this love handle he got going on. You don't need it. I mean, okay. All right. So I have a pretty good base for what's going to be our pants, and we're gonna go and start making them. So there's a couple ways that you could do this. You can mask extract, or you could do it through Topology. Well, we'll mask extract. Why not? All right. So I'm going to front view his pants line. It could be wherever his shirt's covering it. We're going to go right about here. I like to use the lasso mask, or well, that's not that, but the lasso mask right here. Make sure symmetry is on, and just kind of grab as much as you want to. Okay. Make sure that it got here. Well, we can go into the mask brush a little bit right here and just kind of fix it up top, because the smoother your mask is, well, when you do the extract, the better it's gonna look, to be honest, and just better result in general that you're gonna have. You can even sharpen mask. For some reason, that just Okay, increase contrast maybe. Just crank that up. Maybe not. Maybe not that much anyway. That's fine. Okay, so we're gonna go into mask. Mask extract. Project to sculpt. Extract to solid. Okay, and then that's gonna pop up a modifier over here for you, and you're gonna choose the thickness. For some reason, it isn't wanting to do the top part as thickness, but that's okay. Well, we can work around that too. Let me see what it looks like without the. Oh, okay, yeah, because I see what's happening. Okay, so what's happening is the offset is negative. So we're just gonna change the offset a little bit, just a little bit out like that. Okay, and that gives us a nice place to work from. So I'm gonna try and smooth out this jaggedness right here, which this doesn't always work this well. So I'm surprised that it is working this well right now, to be honest with you. Because it doesn't always. Yeah, so you're usually left with kind of what it's doing down here, but that's fine. We can again kind of check and see what's happening. Okay, I see what's happening. So let's actually do it like this. Go to 1 all the way. I'll hide that again. Try to select your pants. Maybe find them in the thing. Oh, mesh. That's what it is. Okay, and just go up 0.001, 0.002. Okay, 0.01. That's too much. 0.005. Let's do 0.003. That's where we want it. Okay. Alright, so we got that. We're gonna apply. And again, because it should, no, it didn't do it. That's okay. I was hoping it was gonna fill it in all the way, but it didn't. So, but that's, also for this, it's not really a problem. So we're gonna go to our pants. We're gonna go back into sculpt mode and just start kind of working them. We do have symmetry on, but yeah, just grab a brush, kind of pull them out. So we get to there. And that'll help us with the folds. This is also not a clothing tutorial. These clothes are not gonna win any awards unless they do, but that's fine. Not everything has to be A1, but we can definitely improve upon everything we're doing here. And in fact, what I'm going to do is mask off right here. So I can inflate. Yeah, I'm going to inflate it. Make sure. Okay. Boom. Yeah. There we go. That's fine. Grab them, bring them down. Go to the back. Don't hit orthographic in the back because it's just going to hurt your feelings. Okay. Grab. Pull this in and maybe smooth a little bit. Or maybe, just smooth a little bit. Don't necessarily even grab because they're not high enough to warrant that. Okay. Alright. So now what we can do is let's try to try to make them make a little bit of sense, right? Take the grab brush, pull the pants out a little bit, And keep in mind when you're when you're working this high, when you've done the extract, honestly, it's probably best to just remesh it a little lower so you can kind of get the shape that you're looking for without having to. Because the higher that you go, the harder it is to work with. That's why they say to keep it as low as possible for as long as possible, because you don't want to be working with such high polygons that you're not able to really control it very good. You want to have the control for as long as possible. So definitely, if you have the ability to get it lower, and then work on getting it higher. Okay, so we got that front piece looking. It's looking, but now we're gonna try to work on this side right here, and we're gonna kind of do a little bit of a fold like that. Okay, that's gonna look okay, I guess. Inflate the middle a little bit here. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't look too bad. It could look better, but it don't look bad. Pinch these folds a little bit. Okay, cool. So that's the main shape of the pants. Now we got to kind of make it make sense a little bit. So if you have a fold like that, it's got to connect to something. So we might can smooth it down a little bit. Take the draw sharp and just kind of go in like that. And there are some cloth brushes that you can use that I've used them before and they're good. But for this, I don't think we need it. Yeah, I don't think we need them for this. I think we just need to make some pretty simple folds that that you can definitely find reference for if you feel the need to. I'm working from memory on this, which is, you definitely shouldn't do. If you're really making a legitimate, character model, you should always use reference. Even if you think you know what something looks like, you probably don't. You probably don't know what it looks like. Because unless you've just been doing this for years and years and years and years, and you've made a million folds, then you might know what it looks like, and you might can get away with not using reference. I don't think I'm getting away with not using reference. I'm just trying to get this in. This fold in, and when you look up how to do folds, I think there's like a Y fold, a Z fold. I think some people use the X folds, but there's something about the X folds that they say to try to stay away from unless you have to use them. But so every time you do a fold or a fold that comes out, you also want to tuck it in too. So and maybe not in every spot, but in a lot of the spots, it just tends to look better if it's kind of coming out on both, or coming out and then going in, like how these are right here. This is going out, but then this is going in. So I don't know, but and I might have went a little overboard on these, but that's okay. I guess it's a little bit better to go overboard than go underboard. I don't know if that's a word or not, or a phrase. It's a word. I just don't know if that's what people say or not. But yeah, so your folds are gonna usually connect, unless you don't want them to, and I guess they don't have to. But I want mine to connect for the most part. So just going like that. Take that off. Okay. Then if you get to this point and you're like, oh, well, that looks a lot. You can always just pull them in a little bit. Just kind of pull them in, you know, and then that'll usually make it look a little less exaggerated, I guess you'd say. So in the reference, I don't think, let me look at my reference. Okay, now they do have these ones right here. And so we're going to go in right here and out, out, in, out, in, smooth, in, smooth. Just like that. Is it perfect? No. But in a pinch, it'll do. Okay. I do want to grab this out a little bit because I feel like I might have dug too hard in with this, and it doesn't look good for this type of character. That would maybe look good on more of a realistic pair of pants. But yeah, there we go. All right. So pants also have pockets. Okay. And the connector in the middle for your zipper. Okay, so we're gonna just, now, if you were making like real pants, you would probably model this separately. Or not probably, you would, but we're not modeling regular pants or real pants. We're modeling these pants. So we're going to just add it like that and take the crease crease polish and polish that crease just like that. We can take the flatten. Where is it at? Come on, flatten. Not plateau, flatten. And just kind of flatten it out. Maybe go up above it. There we go. A little bit more right here. Okay. And crease polish again. There we go. Alright, that looks pretty good. The shirt's going to cover up a lot of it. But then we're going to take the clay strips again and make the pockets. And smooth out the bottom, or the other edge of the clay strip that was not the pocket. Crease polish, just like that. Okay. No, well, hang on. I'm going to inflate a little bit around this area here, and then remesh, remesh, remesh. If you get these holes and they're not too bad, you can always just inflate, and it should fill those holes in, and you can continue or just refine it a little bit more. Flatten again to bring the shape back. It sucks when you are when you have something that you think looks pretty good, and then you have to kind of go back over it. But honestly, that's just what this is, man. It's just a lot of doing the same thing over again until it looks right. Yeah, that just happened again. So what I'm going to do is not remesh it, and we're going to call these pants good. For right now, we're going to go into edit mode, and what we can do, if that just keeps happening and it won't stop, you could just take out the
a lot of the inside. If you can catch a good edge loop, which you can't with this, so that's fine. When we go to tool, no, not render, output, no. For where to go? Yeah, object data. Yeah, you can go under here and do the quadriflow remesh. That you might be able to save it if you go. Let's try 10,000 because we're going. Okay, yeah. So it's a non-manifold mesh. So we're gonna just try to see if some of these cleanups will do. It's not gonna. We can merge by distance. That took away 33. Yeah. So it's because we added the thickness. That's what it was, or is. That's what it is. So. Okay, so yeah, I just found the spot where I can fix that, and I'm gonna just take out the thickness of this if it'll let me. Try to get it up, Control plus to catch all the other stuff. Faces. And honestly, that's fine to go ahead and delete because we don't need that part anyway. Alright, so just delete all of that, I guess. I mean, yeah, so maybe don't project as solid when you go from the mask extract. That seems like it's the issue. Because when you start to sculpt with a double-sided mesh, it will it'll do stuff like this because everything's too close together. And you know what? It's not very good. So another thing that we might can do is just try to close this off in a spot that will make sense to do it at. So yeah, we're gonna try to get all that back. There we go. Okay. And yeah, just try to find a spot where we can get almost all the way around the mesh. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So right here. So we're gonna go here. Okay. Yeah. See, it's only wanting to do that. So that's fine. We can turn off proportional editing, extrude and scale down, vertex merge at center. Okay. And this is definitely not the best way to do this. I'm just trying to get it to work for this particular thing. Because I don't want to go back and resculpt these pants. But yeah, only rim would probably be a good,
place to do this. Okay, right is there. Okay, so that should be manifold. You think? Yep, man, it is. Yep. Okay. All right. So there we go. We have that. Okay. So Alt H to unhide everything. So we managed to get the pants to be manifold. It was not the best way, but it worked. So. All right. So now we're gonna just go back in here, sculpt, smooth that out just a little bit. Draw sharp. Get a little bit of a better crease polish. Grab that out because it is going in, and looks honestly a little bit painful. All right. And we can here. I'm gonna fix these. I'm gonna mask this off. Okay, flatten or scrape. Yeah, not flatten. I'm gonna scrape this down to where it looks flat, relatively flat anyway. Go off to the side like so. Come down just a little bit. Okay, and maybe try to get these folds kind of a little bit back into commission. Because now that it's manifold, it is also working a little bit better. So if you ever have issues like that, always check if your mesh is watertight, because a lot of this stuff likes to be watertight. And by that I just mean no holes. When there's holes in your mesh, problems are more likely to happen than not happen. Flatten this out too. Grab that. Boom. There we go. Okay. All right, and this can also be scraped down some because it looks like it wants to be. All right. Yeah. So there's some pants. Not the best pants, but not the worst pants either. All right. So now for the shirt, well, we're going to duplicate the body to have it for later. Okay. And while we're at it, let's just rename all of our objects that we have. With shirt geo selected, we're going to go into sculpt mode, hide body geo and arms geo. Or no, for now. Yeah, we'll hide it for now. It's okay. Clear this mask, and we're gonna box trim the legs off. Okay, we're gonna box trim, or we're gonna line trim the hands off. Yeah, that's good. Okay, cool. So now we have that. And what we can do from there is we're going to just bring back the arms. We don't, and the body. Why not? All right. So we're gonna go back to our brush, and we're gonna just start trying to combine this arm gap
the this or whatever. Yeah, we're gonna start trying to bring that back. Okay, but before we do that, we're gonna make sure the object is watertight. So hide the arms, hide the body. I mean, we can hide everything actually. So Shift H. Okay, and it is watertight. So that's good. All right, so and face sets from visible to just hide that like we would. Maybe go lower. Let's see what that does. That's fine. Yeah, that is not bad for what we wanted. Okay, so arms, body, inflate. Well, we're going to use the inflate, relatively large and a low strength, to start to bring the shirt object above the body object. And by doing that, we do that. But no, by doing that, it just gives us a better idea of what we're trying to accomplish here. Right? So we're smoothing out the arm, or the shoulder and the arm separation, and just also, just keeping going back and forth from smooth to inflate, to just keep the shirt above the body as much as we can. Okay, that looks pretty good for the undershirt. I'm gonna bring back the images. Yeah. So the undershirt isn't very pronounced or anything. Well, we could add folds if we wanted to, but there's not a lot of folds in the shirt in the reference. So we could do that if we absolutely wanted to, but I don't think we're going to at the moment. We might do some in the arm, like in the inside elbow section. We'll see. But we are now going to remesh this pretty low. Okay. Smooth out this so that's not as ugly with the things, with the artifacts in there. Okay. And we remeshed again, and everything turned out, I don't know what that just did, but it turned out pretty good. Okay. And then so we're going to go into mask mode. Shrink this down a little bit. We can use the lasso, actually. It's fine. We have the mirror on, and we're just going to see what we can do with this. Okay. That's fine. But we're going to need to go into the mask brush and combine that. Smooth out this spot right here. Just like that. Come up a little bit higher on the back of the shirt, because that's how shirts work. They're usually lower in the front and higher in the back. So now we're gonna go to mask, mask extract. We're gonna maybe not do extract to solid. Let's see what that does. Okay, and then yeah, so it didn't give us the modifier that time. So we're going to what we're going to do is go to deform, shrink wrap modifier, target the shirt geo, go outside surface, and do the offset like that. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So then what we can do is go into edit mode. Apply the shrink wrap and go into edit mode. Boom. There we go. And we can then make this shirt watertight, which the bottom already is. Nice. Okay. Extract scale. Merge at center. Extract scale. Merge at center.
Okay. Extract scale. We're going to bring this down on the Z. Extract to scale again. Extract to scale. Merge it center. Okay. That way it just kind of hides the collar. Well, I can probably show you what I mean by that. Like, I'm going to have to go in and adjust this, obviously, but like this. But it's not that bad. But we are going to add the collar separately because it's easier to work with a collar as a separate piece, in my opinion. Anyway, we just pinch in around there. Okay, and we're gonna grab and pull this outer shirt out, just like that. And in the back, it is going upward. So we're gonna make it go upward a little bit. Okay, and then we can use the scrape, not the smooth, but the scrape, to make it appear a little bit flatter. Go against the grain so it doesn't catch the lip at the bottom. Smooth it out. Keep on scraping. Smoothing it out. Smooth out this. Okay. And see what this is. I think this is, yeah. Okay. So go to sculpt mode, not vertex paint, sculpt mode, Alt M, and just grab that, push it in. That's fine. Okay. Object mode. This. Okay. Now, so yeah, this is more of a polo style shirt, not a button down. So that's fine, even better. All right. So yeah, we have the basic part of the character all done. Okay. So this is our character. We're gonna, well, we'll add the collar, I guess. Well, for the collar, we can actually add a cylinder. Scale it down, move it up, scale it down a little bit more, rotate, Y, Z, edit mode. You're going to rotate these vertices, or vertices, whatever you want to say. Right there. I'm going to grab these ones and move them back, and also down. Okay. And what I'm going to do is select both faces, top and bottom, delete them. Okay, and probably these front two. Delete those. Grab the edge and scale it out. Move it down on the Z. Add a loop cut. Move that up on the Z. And maybe proportional editing. No. Alright, so this is going to be a thing that we're going to just have to retopologize to make it look right. But, yeah, I mean, that's fine. Well, we're just going to do it like that, and then we can bevel, Control B, that. Okay, go down and grab the bottom of this, the edge select, just scale it in, and move it up. Okay, and grab the front two vertexes with proportional editing still on. Just go down to the Z and towards the Y and then back up a little bit on the Z. Grab this vertex, see if it's going to let you have or use symmetry, and it is. And there we go. Alright, so that is a relatively decent collar. We're just going to go and play with it a little bit in sculpt mode. Well, what is it doing in the back? Is it folded down? It is folded down. Okay, so yeah, we're just gonna, so I'm gonna go back to edit mode. Okay, grab maybe these 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, these 5. Pull them down on the Z. Just like that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Down on the Z. That 1. Down on the Z. Down on the Z. Yeah. So just like that. And then we can actually grab all these right here and try the smooth vertex. That's fun. Okay. And then, because this is just this is nothing more than a blockout on that collar for sure. Yeah, it's okay. Let me turn proportional editing off for this so I can get this collar back in place to where I need it to be. And there's, okay, there we go. All right, yeah, there we go. Cool, that's fine. That works for what it is, just fine. And in the Topology portion of this, we'll just do the shirt, and then we'll just extrude from there and fix it. No big deal. All right, so now we're going to work on curves for the hair, here, like for stylized hair. Well, we're not doing a particle system. We're just doing curves and then turning them into mesh. So what you want to do is insert 2 types of curves. We got curve. We're going to do a circle, and we're going to do a path. Okay, and then we're going to rotate 90, and then rotate Z 90. Okay, and just move them up. Just up. We want the path below the circle, so we're going to space that out just a little bit, but we're going to shrink it down because that's what we need to do, and then bring it back down. Okay, so what we're going to do is take this curve and we're going to manipulate it a little bit. You can scale these 2 sides out and maybe hit all of them and subdivide it, and then take both of these, the ones that came when you subdivided it, and scale that up and out a little bit. Take the middle, scale it on the Z, just like that. Kind of a square, like a rounded square.
I'm thinking that's what we're going to want. All right, and then you're going to go back to object mode with the path selected. You're going to go into the curves data, go into geometry, select object, and the object eyedropper on the Bezier curve. Okay, and well, once you've done that, you can hit fill caps. That'll just help us later. But I guess, there we go. Yeah, so rotate it in object mode. Take these top and bottom ones, Alt S to scale, and get it down pretty small. Alt S, scale, boom. Okay. All right, and now you have what looks like a hair, like a stylized piece of hair. And for this, you can get away with just scaling the top like that. Okay, so object mode, we're gonna Shift D to duplicate that, bring it down, and you'll always have your curve, your original one. Edit mode, all, scale it down some more, bring it back down, rotate. Okay, and just place them. And you can adjust them. After you get them placed, you can select more than one. Just keep it going back. Maybe at this point we can just select two, or maybe start to, definitely be rotating them as you go. That would help a little bit more, I guess, but Alright, that looks okay. And well, what you can do from there is just kind of select some of these, go into edit mode, and just start to mess with them to make them look interesting. How close to the reference you decide to follow this is up to you. I'm gonna try to get them to look similar. I drew the hair kind of as one, but it could be more spiky. That is up to you as the artist. But yeah, you could also just make them a completely different hairstyle if you want to. But for this, there is a reference. So I do want to kind of follow it as much as as close as I can without just making this one huge mesh. This. Okay. Alright, so we'll get the base of that. Let's kind of go into it and maybe shorten it a little bit right here so it kind of matches a little closer to the reference.
the main thing I was going for with this was kind of a cascading look. Well, while I was drawing it, not necessarily that. But anyway, all right. And you can just scale it in a little bit. Yeah. I don't think it's needed though. Really, I think that was fun. But here, I'm gonna try it anyway. There we go. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so I'm gonna just take these as close up to the scalp as I can get them. And just delete the ones that I don't necessarily need. Because it's just, yeah, like that one, I don't need that. I need these, but I don't need, right. Yeah, right. There we go. Okay. Alright, so then I'm gonna grab the bottom of all of these. Alt S to scale them out. And Alt S to scale that in. There we go. Alright, that is pretty good. Alright, so that's how you make hairs out of curves. You just make a circular curve and a path curve and just turn it into what you need to turn it into. Now for the eyebrows, I just like to grab a plane, shrink it obviously way on down, even further down. Okay, bring it up, go to 3, rotate 90, bring it forward, a little bit more forward. Okay, bring it over to there, and we're gonna just try to line it up like that. Right there, turn on snapping to the face nearest, like that, and bring it back. Okay, Alright, so what I'm gonna do is grab the edge. I'm gonna just extrude that to over there somewhere. Bring it back to front, back to X-ray mode. Just get it over there. Grab a couple loop cuts. Grab this edge, bring it up. This edge, bring it up. This edge, bring it up. Grab this edge, bring it out. Because sometimes when you're snapping, it'll get caught under the skin, and that's not what you're wanting to do. And see, I said things don't always translate perfectly in 3D. This is an example of that, where you have to just kind of make it work. Alright, so from there, we're going to go into modifier, add a subdivision surface modifier, put it on 2. Move it a little bit, make it that way, maybe even scale it a little bit, like that, and shrink wrap. I like to at least try shrink wraps on my stuff. What's that surface? Yeah, that's too far, so it's 0.002 is usually 0.001. 0.0001. There we go. That's what you're looking for. Right there. Then, what you can do after that is add a solidify modifier to it. Add some thickness, just like that. Maybe we can move the solidify, or the shrink wrap first. The solidify modifier, yeah, second, and then the subdivision surface, like that. Okay, go into edit mode though, and yeah, that's fine. Okay, so yeah, go into edit mode, make these front ones a little bit bigger. Maybe just there it is. That's what I was looking for. Right there. Move that that way. Move that way. This up. That down. There you go. Maybe another loop cut. There we go. That's perfect. That works. Okay. So apply all these. Solidify, subdivision. Boom. Then generate mirror object. Boom. And we, for all intents and purposes, have a character that now just needs to be retopologized and textured, and then rigged, and you're done. So, well, we're gonna look at some retopology, or some good topology, rather. Retopology face. All right. So there are a couple ways that you can do this, but there is different use cases, right? You could, in theory, just remesh your whole character, right? But it's not conducive to being deformed. So when you want to have something to where things can move, that they don't just get destroyed, right? So people have come up with the best way to do like facial retopology, and honestly, it's probably the best that you just find an example of good topology and just kind of follow that. That's what a lot of people do, and it really doesn't have to even be the same style
of character. Just take it and run with it, or just take it and do as close to that as you can get it. Like, see, okay, well, we're going to take this right here and put it into our puref file. We're going to take this, because this is actually one of the better ones that I'm seeing so far. We're probably going to try to match this as close as I can. All right, so we're going to turn the F2 add-on, just install it, and the B surfaces. With that enabled, you're gonna have your mesh selected and hit initialize. Okay, and what this allows you to do is just draw on your mesh. Everything should already be set up correctly. It should have the correct face selection on, and you're gonna just draw on your mesh like this with a grease pencil. Now you can make sure that it is attached to it, which it is, and you're going to hit add surface. Now what you might want to do is just kind of do that and play with how many crosses it's going to give you. Yeah, so 2 is usually pretty good. Now the issue with this is it doesn't like to be mirrored, so well, which is okay, that's fine. But when you're gonna want to still adjust and turn auto merge vertices off, because that's just gonna weld everything together, and you may not want to. Alright, so now that we have the head retopologized, then we can move on to the body and the other pieces of the mesh. Alright, so we were able to manually retopologize the head, use quadriflow remesh on the body. And since the clothes are going to be what's visibly deforming on this character, we're going to go ahead and manually retopologize the pants and the shirts. All right, so we're in an older saved file right now because my audio was going out while I was doing this. So I want to really kind of go over how to make a normal map because there's a lot of really great tutorials out there. It just seems like I was missing something that I wasn't understanding. So I just want to kind of go over my process. All right, so we have the high poly head and the ears. We're going to join those because I think I joined them in my last file I had. But all right, so we joined the ears to the head. We're going to go back to the low poly right here. Okay, so you probably can't see it, so I'm going to go into material preview, go into the shading tab, create a material on the high poly, and bring it down to gray. Okay, so all this white right here is unlikely to be picked up by the normal map, and if it does, it's very likely to have artifacts. So what we're going to do is try to get around all of that, right? So click on the low poly, and we'll just kind of set this up to be for baking. Create a new material. Don't change anything. It's fine. Go into texture, or go to Shift A, texture, image texture. Click new. We're just going to call it head normal map. Okay. I'm going to set this to 2048. And just for this particular situation, just leave everything else alone. If you're doing a very or my understanding that the 32-bit float is for very like the highly detailed things, which this is not. If you're using UDIMs, you would hit tiled, but we're not for this, so we're gonna just go ahead and click new image or create image and scroll that down a little bit. And let's try to take care of some of this gray showing through. So we're still on the low poly. We're gonna go to modifiers, add. We're gonna do a shrink wrap. Go to the head, and now, or actually, before we do that, all right. So, all right. So look at this topology here, right? It's now, yes, it could be a lot better, but it's very low poly, right? Unless you're making a mobile game, to my understanding, you don't necessarily need this to be this low. You could go up a little bit. So, well, we're going to do that. But before we do that, we're going to go into the UV editing and find our lips. Because well, we had opened the mouth, right? So now we have to close it, but not forever. We're going to close it in a way that's going to be relatively easy to reopen it once we get the model baked. Okay, so we're going to just scale that up. It'll help with the texturing process later anyway. And all right, so we're going to close the mouth, hide the high poly, make sure that snapping is off, and it is, and just select the two edges, hit F, 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 F. Make sure you don't accidentally do that, because it will mess that particular spot up. Okay, and then we're going to Control R to add a loop cut through here, and just select those, hit F, and make two triangles right here. This is not a permanent closure. We're just doing this to avoid artifacts on the lips. All right, so now we have that closed off again. We're gonna re-show the high head, but on the low, we're gonna add a shrink wrap on the high poly, but also a subdivision surface. You can use multi-res. I just don't. I prefer the subdivision surface, but well, we got to bring that up. Okay, so when we're going to temporarily apply this to just show that it's not really a whole lot that is being added here. See, it's still relatively low, but just that amount of extra polygons is going to cancel out any kind of squared off edges that we may see. So with the head as the target on the shrink wrap, we're going to go to outside surface and go like 0.0005. just to where it's much closer to the surface. All right, so if you want to keep the subdivision, yeah, you can do that. If you don't, then just apply the shrink wrap, but move it up first, and then you'll still be pretty good. You'll just have to do a little more work on the next step. But we're gonna keep the subdivision, so we're gonna apply those and apply the shrink wrap. Okay. Go into sculpt mode with a very low strength. Do the inflate brush and make it bigger, so it's easier to, or it's just a little faster working with. And just try to inflate these ears. You don't have to go all the way because the extrusion will help with this. But in my experience, it's not going to do all of it. So we're just going to try to help it as much as we can. Okay, and that's good, right? Well, we have this little area here and this area here. That should be fine. So we're going to go back into object mode. Select the low poly and go into shading mode. Make sure that you have your empty normal map texture selected with the white border, and pin it so when you change or you click on the high poly, it doesn't go to the high poly's texture. It just stays on this, and you can keep the normal map selected. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to select the high poly head, and then we're going to control click on the low poly and go into render properties. Make sure you're on cycles. If your computer has a GPU, it's much faster to use that. All this, it can stay the same. That's not why we're here. We're here for the bake section, and we're going to switch combined to normal. Okay. Check mark on selected to active and drop down the menu. Well, we're going to set the extrusion to like 0.01. That's going to just help finish out the inflation, really. So if you had this way up, it's going to be way big, and it could overlap itself and give you bad results also. So 0.01 is usually good. Okay. All right. And before you bake, make sure that you go down to this color space and check non-color. So you won't have any issues with that later on, and hit bake. Okay. And you can zoom in on this and see that we do have some artifacts, but let's plug it in and see what it actually looks like. Okay, color into the color. We're going to add a light because we don't have one. An area light is good enough. RX90. Okay. Y. Go down. There, you back it off a little bit. Alright, so let's see what we ended up with. Okay, yeah, and we do have some artifacting around the eyelids and, well, like I said, around this ear right here. So let's actually turn the head off. Okay, yeah, so it's not as bad as it looked like it was going to be. Okay, but so if you wanted to, you can maybe bump this down to like 0.08, or no, I'm sorry, 0.8, maybe 0.5. There you go. Yeah, so 0.5, and that's going to keep some of your details. 0.9. Yeah, that's fine. So when you have your eyeballs in, this black mark won't really show through. Yeah, so there's those. And if you really wanted to, you could grab this and take it into something like Photoshop. I use Affinity, but yeah, you can definitely smooth these out. And just smooth out all the artifacts, and you'll be good to go. And I'll show you where I ended up at on mine. All right, so this is my head right here. I do have some artifacting right here over the ears that I plan to go in and fix. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I just go down to 0.8. Let's try to give him a skin color. Maybe you can see the wrinkles a little bit better. If it'll, yeah, see? They're definitely in there. You can even go up to like 0.9 or just 1. Yeah, all the way up. Yep. That worked out pretty good. I'm happy with that. So in the next part, we're going to go over texturing, mostly just painting with UCU Paint. All right, so now we're going to dive into painting the character. So to use UCU Paint, I don't know. Just go to edit, hit preferences, and you can search for it. It'll be in there. Just check it. It may take some time to load, but it'll load up. And then if your sidebar is hidden, hit N on the keyboard. It'll just be down there. All right. So with your body selected, we're gonna hit quick UCU Paint node setup. And just make sure that all these are selected. Well, we don't need the alpha channel for this. You might in yours, but I'm not in mine. So hit OK. And that will bring up your thing. So doing this does add another couple nodes onto your material. So, and also it will, if you have a normal map already hooked up, it'll just go ahead and take care of that for you. All right, so yeah, we're gonna go back into layout. Yeah, so make sure that you're in the material preview, and in the layer section, click the plus, and I like to start on the base color, so just hit solid color for that. This is a little bit dark. I'm gonna raise the value up a little bit, and that's too pink. Well, we're gonna go about right here for the base color. So if you have the base color selected or set up how you want it, you can go here and make sure that you're in texture paint, and hit plus on the keyboard or plus on the layers menu, and go to solid color with image mask, and then pick your darker shade that you want to do for your shadows. I just like to bring the value down. All right, hit OK, and make sure that you have white selected as your painting color. I like to shrink my brush down and just paint on there. So what the mask does is it'll make whatever you're painting the mask to be the color that you chose. So really you're just painting a mask on, but it's reacting like a color. So I like to go where the natural shadows would be on the face. And yeah, you can also change the opacity of this later also. I'm just getting a rough go at it also. And then we're also going to go in with a darker color a little bit too. So this is not final. It's just what would be kind of easier to see what you're doing. That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to grab the blur brush, and the further away you are, it might lag a little bit. So you kind of want to make sure that you are kind of close. And it also likes a relatively small brush too. So just make sure that you're not. It's kind of a trial and error, honestly. Just know that it doesn't like big brushes, and it doesn't like to be far away. All right. All right, yeah, and so now we can kind of play with the opacity a little bit, just bring it down. The goal isn't to be aggressive with this step. So now we're gonna do the same thing, but with the lips. So we're gonna go maybe a little more on the red side. Click OK. Yeah, there we go. Okay. The further I go away, this kind of looks crazy. So I'm gonna smooth this out a little bit more.
And if you ever want to see what you're doing, just toggle this preview mode on, and it will show you kind of in a flat color what you're doing. So now we can add a little bit of red on the face to kind of accentuate the subsurface scattering a little bit more. All right. For that, we're going to go around the ears a little bit. Okay, and if you ever want to like paint through the model, go down here. No, go down to the tool menu and go to options and turn off occlude and backface culling, and that should paint pretty much through the model. It didn't get it perfect, but also kind of keep in mind that if you're doing it like this, you're also getting on the head. So definitely be careful of how you position it when you're doing that. Okay, so I'm just gonna smooth this out, and then also we're gonna mess with the opacity later. So this is very red, but okay. And maybe we can go on the nose a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah. So just on the cheeks a little bit, just lightly. I like for most of this the airbrush is good. And then just turn the opacity way down. The goal of this is to be very subtle. But yeah. So that looks pretty good right there. Maybe a little up. Yeah, there you go. No, I'm thinking like 0.5. Yeah, there you go. All right, so we got that, and now we're gonna paint some roughness. So, we're gonna create a new layer, new image, and on the channel, well, we want to change that to roughness, and so that'll just create a black and white image, and not color based. But black is no roughness, and white is fully rough. So we're gonna hit OK. And yeah, so make sure that roughness is selected right there. In the airbrush mode, we're going to go to black. And I like to do this under the preview mode. So roughness right now is set to 0.5. If you brought it up to 1, there'll be no roughness at all. If you put it down to 0, it would be completely just shiny. Like that. So we don't necessarily want that. So we're going to go back to 0.5 and go back into preview mode and start painting in some roughness. Or actually, maybe not. So we'll just go right here. And so everybody kind of has some natural holes on their face, and those are usually in the same spot. So we're gonna have some on the nose.
All right, so now that the painting is to a point that is relatively done, we're gonna go ahead and try to rig this. All right, so now you have a ready to animate character. This was a journey. I appreciate it. If anybody watched all the way to the end, that's awesome. I really appreciate it. If anybody wants to see anything else like this, let me know in the comments. I will try to figure that out. If you have any ideas for what you want to see next, let me know also. And if one person found anything in this video helpful, that's great. I appreciate it. Thank y'all.